Hello, welcome back to the Mortal Realm. So we've got a big catch up today, issues 48 to 53. Now, I have fallen behind with Mortal Realms again. However, after this is done, we will go back to a weekly format. So every Wednesday night, there'll be a new video. Now, this won't be tomorrow night because I'm currently isolating with COVID problems, blah, blah, blah. So the issue 54 will follow up maybe at the end of the week. Now, before we move on with this, I just wanted to touch for a moment on Warhammer 40,000 Imperium. Now, we've known this has been coming for a while now. Some information came out today. I wouldn't say it's a leak because it initially came from Hachette. However, it is isolated information, and you'll see an image there now. So, you can now subscribe to Warhammer 40,000 Imperium, and I've put a subscription link in the description as well that will take you right there. Now, it hasn't been officially announced or anything like that so far, but we all know it's coming. In the image, you'll be able to very blurry see the first 4 issues. Now, you can't exactly work them out, but if I've got it right, issue 1 is going to be a Space Marine Lieutenant from the Indomitus box. Issue 2 will be Necron Warriors. Now it will be the small kit, so the kit that comes with the paint kit. So I believe there's 5 models in that. Issue 3 will be the paint kit version of the easy build Assault Intercessors, of which you get 3 in that kit. And issue 4 looks like, well, it looks amazingly like the Scorpec Destroyers. Now, I could be very wrong on all of those. Well, Scorpec Destroyers, I'm almost certain that's what they are. But yeah, so basically, it looks as though from another website that's come out, like you'll be able to pre-order for delivery of the test run next week. And I'll put a link to that in the description as well. Now, it looks like they're going to do a test run for this, so it probably means that, you know, the test run will last for maybe 4 or 5 issues, and then it will launch properly in a few months' time. I don't think they'll wait till the end of Mortal Realms. I think they'll probably cross over for the last 10 issues or so. That is what they did for Conquest. Oh, sorry, that's what they did when they launched Mortal Realms. They had a small crossover period with Warhammer 40k Conquest. So what do we know? We know it's $8.99 an issue. We know that there's a premium offering, which is $10.99 or an extra £2. In terms of the information on the banner image that's got the first 4 issues there, we notice that we've got symbols not only for Ultramarines, but we also have Adeptus Mechanicus Cog and Adeptus Sororitas. Now, it's called Imperium, and those are 3 different sections of the Imperium. So potentially, as we go forward, it won't just be an Indomitus-based box set. It will actually include a lot more than that, which is quite exciting as well. And I very much hope it's the same for Necrons. So when it branches, if it does potentially branch away from Necrons, it'll start to include a few other either Xenos or Chaos sides. So very, very exciting. I expect to have a lot more information by the end of the week. I think we're really, really close with this now. And indeed, there are a few indicators that there will be information at the end of the week as well. So, as exciting as that is, we still need to remain grounded in the Mortal Realms for now. So I'm going to get into these now. There's 6 issues to cover. So I'm going to flick through them almost. I'll flick through the magazines and we'll have a look at the models. I haven't taken all of the models off the sprues and built them with good reason, mainly because some of it is some terrain and the other is a lot of chain rasps, which we've seen before. But let's just get through these and then we'll be bang up to date. So issue 48, we've got Reikenor the Grim Hailer. Reikenor is a terrific beast. Really exceptional model. This is all push fit. I have glued it, but it's all push fit, and it was a major pain in the butt to put together. But yeah, That is Rakanor. Okay, and so we've got Rakanor the Grimhailer, once a sorcerer king with a great knowledge of death magic. Rakanor ran afoul of Nagash. In his undeath, the Grimhailer has been cursed to serve Nagash's as Nagash's chief reaper of souls. And a brief description of all of his stuff. The Spiral Crux. At the dawn of the Age of Myth, Sigmar travelled the mortal realms, encouraging many powerful beings, some of whom would become steadfast allies. In Shaman, one such ally, the Dwarden god Grungi, used his gift for artifice to create the god-wrought isles, paradise of order and peace. Slowly and steadily, however, greed and envy began to enter the hearts of the mortal population. As kings and emperors flaunted their wealth, the eyes of Tzeentch were drawn to the realm of metal. Then we go on to Chaos, the Blades of Khorne. The Blades of Khorne are the armies of the Blood God. These armies are made up of rabid mortal warriors and legions of murderous demons. They rampage across the mortal realms, cutting down any who stand in their path and offering skulls of their victims to their dark god. Then we have another update for cities, so Hammerhall Gyra. Then we've got our build guide, and yeah, it was much. And yes, it was much more difficult than I thought it would be. Certainly, quite intricate kits like this, I think, are no good for push fit. There's too much work needs to be done for that push fit. I think that these are much better if they just created them as glued kits. But you know, great model nonetheless. And if you are following the paint guide, this is how Rakanor will be done so far. So very good. So his stats are, he's got 7 wounds, a move of 14 inches, a 4-up save, and a bravery of 10. He has the Fell Reaper, which is a 2-inch range. He has 4 attacks on a 4-up to hit and a 3-up to wound. Rend -1 and 2 damage, and he also has ghostly hooves and teeth. 1-inch range, 3 attacks, 4-up to hit and wound, no rend, and -1 damage. Lots of cool abilities as well. And then our mission for this week, the Grimhailer. Rakanor the Grimhailer leads a force of Nighthaunts through the Burnished Path realm gates. The dead must secure the portal before the foe can seal it forever. So this is, again, it covers all 3 of the maps that we've had so far. So it's a large battlefield. So we've got Rakanor himself, the Guardian of Souls with the Nightmare Lantern, 4 Grimghast Reapers, 4 Glaive Wraith Stalkers, 15 Chain Rasps, 4 Mindworn Banshees and 3 Spirit Hosts, up against the Lord Arcanum on Griffcharger, Xandria Azure Bolts, 5 Sequitors, 3 Castigators and 3 Evocators. Okay, and then it's got what the next 2 issues are. So that's it. Over to issue 49, we've just got some paints. So we've got Administratum Grey layer paint and White Scar layer paint. We also got a small base brush. And in this issue, again, so it's just a paint issue, so generally it tends to be a little bit more heavy in content. We get an update with Storm Hosts, the Tempest Lords. Now, I really like the paint schemes for the Tempest Lords. Unfortunately, no painted models here, but they are very cool. we get another edition of Bones and Blood, which when this is finished, I will come back and I will do a special issue just of its own of Bones and Blood, because it is really, really cool. Then we look at the Seraphon. Seraphon are an ancient race from beyond the stars. Their armies combine celestial power, alien technology, and primal savagery to devastating effects. Very awesome stuff there. And then we've got battles, the Blood Gulch Stampede. Thrakankar's pulse quickened as he followed his Blood Reaver kin into the narrow mountain pass. Ash-blackened, sloping cliffs rose on either side of the advancing Bloodbound, and a river of magma cut its way through the narrow gulch. Ahead, the Varangard were already upon their prey. Blood Reavers clad in crimson helms were engaged in combat with lizard-like creatures wielding crude clubs and spears. So, very cool. In fact, I really wish the Seraphon featured as part of the premium kits. I'm not a great fan of the Sylvaneth. However, if we'd have got some of this, I'd have been really, really happy. Okay, then we've got paint guide update, which includes our new layer paints. So this is mainly just for highlighting. Okay, very cool stuff. Oh, they've also done some of the cloaks and stuff with that white. Very cool. Then we've got a tutorial on victory points, which is good. And then we've got securing the Sigyorn. The Sigyorn echoes with the sounds of war. The night haunts spread across the chaos-tainted landscape with their hundreds in a search for valuable Shamanites. So we've got a smaller battle again. We're just on one of our mats. We've got the Spirit Torment, a Tomb Banshee, 5 Glaive Wraith Stalkers and 3 Spirit Hosts up against a Night Questor, 5 Sequitors, 3 Castigators and the Celestar Ballista. And it's an objective-based one with 3 objectives. Okay, that's cool. So also what came with this issue was one of these pullouts, and this one is all based on Morathi. Morathi and also Malerion. Malerion is Morathi's son. But yeah, very cool. So it's interesting, really. Before we move on to issue 50, I think it's quite interesting that we are coming towards the end of Mortal Realms, and when Conquest finished, very soon after, the discussions about 40k 9th edition started. And now that Mortal Realms is nearly finished, exactly the same things is going to happen with Age of Sigmar. So the new edition of Age of Sigmar is touted to happen in August or September. So it's very interesting that it's got a similar tone. You know, we come towards the end of this as we exit the current version of Age of Sigmar. We'll be entering another one soon. So it is almost a shame to be, you know, learning all these rules. Obviously it will help us when things move over, but yeah, things will move very quickly when Mortal Realms finished to the new edition of Age of Sigmar. And kind of when Conquest was running, Conquest ran through and it was available in a whole host of different countries and that kind of thing, and people were always wondering, is it going to go to America? Is it going to go to, you know, worldwide? Is it going to be available in much more places? And now I just think, well, that's never going to happen now, because it's all based on an older edition of the rules, and we've moved on since then. Obviously, as Imperium takes over, which it will do very soon, perhaps there's an opportunity for that to become more widespread and available elsewhere. Okay, moving on to issue 50, the Sigmarite Ruins. Now, I'm a fan of the Sigmarite Ruins. There's some nice sort of scatter terrain, very cool. But I haven't built these. I already own this sprue from Warcry. So I haven't built this as of yet. So what I do with anything I've got duplicates of that I don't specifically need more of it, I kind of keep it on the sprue. I use it for various kind of hobby projects and that sort of stuff going forward. And this sort of stuff is great for that. So, Sigmarite Ruins. So what do we learn about today? Vanguard Chambers, Part 6. As long as the Vanguard Chamber exists, the enemies of Sigmar can never rest easy. Battling across the wilds of the mortal realms, these rangers, scouts and shock troops fight an endless war against the God King's enemies. The Vanguard Chambers can either support the Strike Chambers or act alone. Very cool. Then we're on to Realms, Shyish Part 7, the Prime Inner Lands, Part 3. The coming of chaos to the mortal realms was a disaster for Nagash. A series of defeats saw him lose much of the control he had over Shyish and led him to breaking his allegiance with Sigmar. He withdrew from the conflict to gather his power, but it would be many years before he recovered his true strength. Okay, and then we're going over to Destruction, the Ogor Moor Tribes. I like the Ogors, I've got a few. I bought that Ossiarch Bone Reaper Ogor box that came out last year. I think it was called Flesh and Bone. So I've got a few Ogors and they're terrific models. Huge, strong and very, very hungry. Ogors have feasted upon the inhabitants of the mortal realms since the age of myth. Ogors fighting clans known as the Moor Tribes. These Moor Tribes are both revered and feared across the realms, for they have the might to destroy empires. And then we've got Realms Chilled to the Bone. The cold would have bothered a lesser creature. To Hrofnir, an Ogor Frost Lord and a veteran of countless hunts, it only sharpened his instincts. He and his Moor tribe have not come to the Spiral Crux in years, and upon returning they quickly learned that their former hunting grounds were now empty. Okay, so that looks quite interesting. Okay, then we've got Sigmarite Ruins. How to build it. There's only one tiny bit of assembly needed, and that is for, it's got 2 bits here, which just stick together. The rest of it is just laid on the floor as is, no assembly required. We've got a fairly brief paint guide for that. But again, it makes it look pretty cool. I like the way that this blue on here is worn down. It's quite a heavy dry brush on there, so that's cool. Then we've got more rules, War Scroll Battalions. It's got a couple there. So we've got an Execution Horde. Right, and then we're on to our battle headhunts. Since the Age of Chaos, much of Shamon has fallen into ruin. Once great cities are now home to nothing but the dead. And the dead in mortal realms do not rest easy. As Anastasia's Starstrike Stormcast Eternals fight to secure the Sigyorn, something very old and very evil awakens to repel these new intruders. Gathering an Execution Horde to its side, a Lord Executioner prepares to take the heads of its Azerite foes. Large map. So we've got the Execution Horde. So that's a Lord Executioner and 3 units of 1 Spirit Host. We've got 10 Chain Rafts and a Dreadblade Harrow. Up against the Night Questor, 5 Liberators, 3 Prosecutors, 3 Retributors. Now that's actually quite a small force to have over these 3 mats. There's one main objective in the middle. So suppose everything's coming in one direction. So that's pretty cool. But since we're 6 inches on either side here, I don't see the point. Yeah, everyone's just going to line themselves up here, I think. Anyway, it is what it is. Okay, so that is issue 50. Now, issue 51, we've got a Lord Ordinator. Let's have a look at it. Very nice. So this isn't push fit, but it did go together very nicely. Cool. So Lord Ordinator. Part prophet, part engineer, a Lord Ordinator is crucial to Sigmar's conquest of the mortal realms. They use visions of the future to fortify Sigmar's holdings against any threat. Then we've got Hellstone Battery. The Stormcast Eternals can combine their strengths to deadly effect. One legendary formation is the Hellstorm Battery, an allied group of Castigators and Celestial Ballista led by a Lord Ordinator. Even the most fearsome enemies cannot withstand the focused bombardment. Okay, so we've got that Hellstone Battery, which is obviously a bit of the alternative version of an Execution Horde, it appears. In fact, let's have a quick flick to the back. Check that. Oh yeah, there you go, Hellstorm Battery. So there's that. Looking again to Chaos, we've got Bray Herds, made up of Ungors, Gors and Beastigors. The Bray Herds are feared across the mortal realms, striking from the wilds in savage ambushes. They fight endlessly to tear down civilization. It's also got the Beast Lords and Great Bray Shamans. Then we've got our build guide for the Ordinator. That was very good. Very easy to put together model. Quite an extensive paint guide. So these guys are close to being done now, if you follow the guides in the book. There's all his rules and that kind of thing. His main stats are 5 wounds, 5 move, saves on a 4-up. He's got a bravery of 9. Got a 1-inch range with 6 attacks with those hammers. 4 up to hit, 3 up to wound and 1 damage. There's our Hailstorm Battery. It's got its own abilities and that kind of thing as well. So we've got Hold Fast. As spirits rise across the Sigyorn, Stormcast Eternals risk being overrun. Force the Lord Ordinator to create a bastion that will stand before the Night Haunts if he doesn't first lose his head. Okay, again we're on a 3-map battle with diagonal territory. So we've got 2 sets of Nighthaunt on either side of the map, and then Stormcast in a small 12-inch area in the middle. And that is the Execution Horde. So the Lord Executioner, 3 units of 1 Spirit Hosts with 10 Chain Rasps and a Dreadblade Harrow, up against the Hailstorm Battery, which is a Lord Ordinator, a unit of 3 Castigators and 1 Celestial Ballista, and 4 Liberators. Okay, so that's that. So moving on to issue 52, we've got some Chain Rasps. So Chain Rasps that we've got with issue 1, we also get with issue 52. Now I've chosen not to build these, because honestly with issue 1 I bought a good few copies, so I've got Chain Rasps coming out of my ears. But what I do intend to do with this is, again, for another hobby project, I might build some walls and sort of kind of do it so these are sort of stuck into the walls as if they're trying to escape or something like that. But I'll find a good use for that in the future. Okay. Now, so we've got Lord Aquilors. Lord Aquilors are renowned commanders who ride at the head of the Vanguard Chambers, reinforced from the souls of great scouts, rogues, or even bandits. They are masters of unconventional tactics, and they lead their armies in devastating ambushes or lightning-fast assaults that leave their enemies reeling. I can't remember if we get one of these. I do believe we do get one of these as part of this run. We've also got an update for Of Bones and Blood, part 7. We get a further piece on the Spiral Crux. In the latter years of the Age of Myth, a god beast came to the Spiral Crux. This creature caused the realm to twist and fracture, which had a vast impact on the nations of Dwarden and humans alike. However, in seeking to slay it, the inhabitants of Shimon ultimately brought about their own doom. Then we've got our easy build guide. So most of these, you just, or a lot of them at least, you just clip them off the sprue and then put them on the base. But there is a little bit of assembly required for some of the others. Okay, it'd be good to see this actually. So when they have got all their paintwork that we've currently got, they look like this and they're more or less done. If you need to go back to correct any errors or repaint the model, repaint part of the model, make sure the paint is dry before you do so. Good stuff there. Then we learn more about Realms of Battle. Okay, then we've got an awakening. Magic is wild and uncontrollable. The actions of Stormcast Eternals and Nighthaunts alike have disturbed the Sigyorn and unlocked vast reserves of magical power deep within the realm. As the battle for Shamanite continues, both sides find themselves blessed with strange new abilities. It goes through what some of those are, as well as the Fury of Sigyorn. And then we've got a battle plan, the Realm Awakens. So again, we've got 3 mats here, but we've got big forces. So we've got Knight of Shroud on Ethereal Steed, 2 Dreadblade Harrows, 5 Glaive Stalkers, and 2 sets of 10 Chain Rasps, up against the Knight Incantor, a Lord Arcanum on Gryph-Charger, 5 Sequitors, a Celestar Ballista, and 5 Liberators. 3 objectives, all fairly close to the middle of the mat. So yeah, it's going to be a good battle there. You can see that Celestar Ballista sitting in the background and just pinging off arrows. Okay, so this brings us up to our final issue, which is issue 53. We also have a pull-out from here for the Realm of Chaos. Now, we've got Mournfang Brown, and we've got Troll Slayer Orange. We'll also notice that as we've gone through and we're picking up more and more of these paints, if you remember the beginning of the run, it had the old Citadel labelling on here, and we're over to the new ones now. So the newer Citadel colour range, it's the same paints, but they introduced this change of sticker at the same time as they did contrast paints. Okay, so issue 53. I tell you what, if we look at the Realm of Chaos first, and this is exciting because we're going to get some Chaos stuff fairly soon. I reckon the next 3 or 4 deliveries from Hachette. Any premium guys, any premium subscribers will probably get Premium Kit Part 4 in the next maybe 4 or 5 deliveries, which is all about Khorne. So we've got the Realm of Chaos here. We've got information about Slaanesh and Nurgle, Khorne and Tzeentch. Notably, Skaven's left out again. So Skaven, I know that these are the four main gods, but there's no information here about Skaven. But we have had some Skaven stuff in the past, so there you go. So that's Realm of Chaos. Okay, so issue 53. We start with the Tempest's Eye, which is Cities Part 1. High above the fiery plains of the Brimstone Peninsula stands Tempest's Eye. This vast metropolis sits atop the Titan Spear Mountain and acts as a watchful guardian over Akshi. Its armies of free peoples and Stormcast Eternals are ready to strike out at a moment's notice. Then we've got Nefertata, Mortark of Blood. I like this sort of Egyptian style headdress that she's got. It's said that all vampires are descendants of the legendary Nefertata, Mortark of Blood. Ancient, cunning and utterly ruthless, she is the queen of Nulamia and a ruthless agent in service to Nagash. She's a great model as well. Really awesome. Then we've got Gorkamorka, the twin-headed god. Powerful, unpredictable and savage, Gorkamorka is the patron god of destruction. Since the age of myth, this twin-headed god has made a brutal mark upon the mortal realms, both through his followers and his own devastating rampages. Cool, I like that. Okay, so what have we got here? So we've got Weird Knob Shamans. And this one we got in the premium kit recently. We've got Wurgog Prophets, of which we get a new one of these in the next Orc Underworlds release. We get Butchers, we've got Ogres, and we've got Cave Shamans. This one's a Goblin. Cool, okay. And then it's got how to paint rust effects, which is very good. So basically, it's telling us to really thin down our Mournfang Brown and Trollslayer Orange and get it on to our metal parts, let them dry. Do both of those. It shows us how to do it on armours and chains and all that sort of stuff as well. Very cool. Also an upgrade for painting Nighthaunt as well. Okay, yeah, so a real painting catch up. Very cool. Okay, then we've got Breakthrough. New reinforcements have arrived in the Sigyorn and are ready to fight. As Stormcast Eternals join the war, they find themselves opposed by both the Relentless Dead and the realm itself. So what have we got? More updates here, that our battle is, and it's a big one again. And again, the way the battlefield is set out looks really cool as well. So we've got 3 mats, a 6-inch territory for the Stormcast in the middle mat, and then I've got a 6-inch on both sides for the Nighthaunt. So we've got the Execution Horde for the Nighthaunt, which is the Lord Executioner, 3 units of 1 Spirit Host, 2 lots of 10 Chain Rasps, 2 separate Dreadblade Harrows, and the Knight of Shrouds on Ethereal Steed. So that's good. We've got quite a lot of fast movement there as well. Up against the Lord Arcanum on Gryph-Charger, 3 Gryph-Hounds, 4 Liberators, 3 Prosecutors, 5 Sequitors, and 1 Knight Azeros. Very nice. Okay, so coming up in the next 2 weeks, we've got more terrain. Now, this actually comes out in the shops tomorrow, but I'm currently sort of locked down, so I won't be picking it up tomorrow. But I actually pick up all of the issues from the shops, and I also get copies from Hachette, so I can get the premium stuff and that kind of thing. So I reckon my Hachette version of this will be arriving in the next few days anyway. So there's that. And then next week, issue 55, Lord Arcanum on Celestial Dracoline. I love this model. I think it's really cool, and I'll definitely be picking up more than one of these because it's really, really impressive. I love it. So that's it. So there you go, guys. That is the big update. The big update. 6 issues plus quite a discussion on Warhammer 40,000 Imperium. So are you excited about Warhammer 40,000 Imperium? I know that certainly a lot of my subscribers from back in the Conquest days have followed over, and thank you, over to the Mortal Realms. and I will stick to with the Mortal Realms right through to issue number 80 and all the premium content. And indeed, if it ever comes back in the future, I will come back with it. So all this part work stuff, I will always cover it. Because I think it's a great way to collect, I really do. Plus, you know, it makes sure that I get something out every week to my subscribers and that kind of thing as well. So, yeah, so what do you guys think? You up for Imperium? I certainly am. I'll have more details out as soon as they're available. I have reached out to Hachette. I don't know if they'll engage with me, but I have looked out for more information. So if they will share with me, that would be fantastic. If not, as soon as I find out anything, which will probably be the same time as most of you guys as well, I'll certainly report on it. So thanks for watching as ever, and I'll catch you later. See ya.